Box. It's time for a podcast.
It's Friday then. It's Saturday, Sunday. What?
You're listening to the Pitwall Girls podcast, hosted by Darlene and Adriana.
Hello and welcome back to an episode of Pitwall Girls. I am Darlene, your host, and I am solo recording today. This is the first episode of the 2024 F1 season. The drought is finally over. I am so excited, and I know you're so excited as well. I don't know why, but this season break has just felt extra long. And I'm thinking it's because the 2023 season, we were kind of over it towards the end. Max winning almost every race was just like, okay, when is something new and exciting gonna happen? So I think a lot of us just might have checked out in 2023, making this break a little longer, making it feel a little longer. But anyways, we are back and I am very hopeful and I hope you guys are all hopeful. So, I mean, yes, Max did win the race. Spoiler there if you haven't seen it. I have a lot of hope. I'm hopeful because Charles's Q2 lap was good enough to have gotten pole. So I heard him talk on the post-qualifying conference and he said something about not being able to get pole because Ferrari decided to save tires. So I think they saved the soft tires for the race or something. I'm not entirely sure, but there's hope. There's hope that the Ferraris are fast, that with a good strategy, we might be able to give, Max a little challenge. And you know what? Honestly, I am okay if Max wins every single race. Just kind of, setting myself up for that expectation. But what I'm not okay with is Max winning by a minute, 32 seconds. Like, oh no, we want race action. I know that's what we all want. At the end of the day, F1 is supposed to be entertainment and will be a snooze fest if, all the cars are just following each other with like 15 seconds, 10 seconds intervals between each car. Like we want some on track action, overtaking. Honestly, I want some DNFs too. Like that makes it exciting. It's like, what's going to happen? We get a red flag, a yellow flag. I mean, let's hope everyone's okay. But the flags, they just switch things up. We need a new strategy. Anyways, let's jump into a little Formula 101. So Formula 101 is where I sprinkle in some F1 tips, a regulation, something, there's so many rules to the sport and we don't know them all. We may have some newer listeners who are not even entirely sure how quali works. So I'll explain what happened with Charles one more time. So qualifying is split up into 3 segments, Q1, Q2, Q3, and the whole objective is for you to get the fastest time in each of those segments, and the 5 slowest drivers don't make it to the next Q. So you have Q1, then you have Q2 and Q3. In Q2, Charles had a lap time that was faster than Max's pole winning time in Q3. But the thing is that every time you go into the next Q1, Q2, Q3, your time resets. And that's because you're using different tires, whatever it may be. So just for you to know, your fastest time from Q1 does not carry over to Q2 or Q3. You need to get a new time in. Alrighty. Okay, let's jump into, I guess, the race recap. I will say I was watching it at a sports bar in New York. If you find yourself in New York, you should definitely go to Fela. It is by Penn Station. So much fun there. But since it was a season opener, I was talking to friends. I was talking to other fans. So after kind of the second half of the race, I might have checked out a little bit. So we won't go super into all the details of the race recap. I will say the first half was pretty entertaining. Second half, not so much. But what was super duper, like, oh my God, was after the race ended. Yes. The most exciting part was after the race ended with Yuki and Daniel. Who would have thought that these two pairings, these two teammates, were going to be the ones to have drama in the first race? So if you don't know what's happening, RB, Visa Cash App, VCarb, RB Red Bull, whatever we want to call them, they gave Yuki team orders to let Daniel pass him. and he had a fit. He was not having it. I mean, it was frustrating for him. He felt like he was ahead. He was a faster driver. He didn't want Daniel to go ahead, even though apparently this was strategized and talked about. So yeah, some words were thrown over the team radio. But after the race, Yuki touched Daniel, almost like ran into him, made it a point to speed past Daniel, which, this is crazy. We will get into more detail about like what is really happening with them. I mean, at the end of the day, Yuki, Daniel, and Checo are all actually fighting for the same seat in 2025. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense that the seat might go to the fastest driver, but there's other things to take into account, like your on-track behavior. So we know Yuki's a hothead, but I wouldn't have taken Yuki to be a troublemaker. I mean, we have had certain drivers on the grid before that are definitely more of the troublemakers, are not afraid to say what's on their mind. But I just think that this whole Yuki and Daniel situation, like it could have been handled so much more different from Yuki's side. And it's true, it just came off a little bit immature. First of all, they weren't even fighting for points. It was towards the very end. Like there's no way that even if Daniel would have passed Yuki, he could have made it up like 3 places to get points. I think they were fighting like P12, P13, P14. Like you weren't gonna make up that much time in just a few laps. But we've seen this before. Team orders have been given out in the past, and there's just other ways to handle it. Like you could have said, give me one more lap to see if I can go faster. Like I'll push on this lap, or let him go ahead for 2 laps. And if he's not actually faster, like I want my place back. Like that's been said before, like let him try. But if not, we go back to our positions. Or you know what? You weren't fighting for points. You could have said, you know what? Let him go, but he owes me one. At the end of the day, F1 is a team sport. So you gotta play for the same team. But yeah, Yuki and Daniel's situation there. What else happened in the race? Max was on pole. He had a great start and just, took away from the pack. I want to start a little segment going forward, and it's going to be the OMG, WTF, and fave moment of the race. So I'm going to start with mine, and I want you to comment on Instagram, on TikTok, or even in the review section what your favorite oh my god moment is. So OMG is going to be something that literally made you say, oh my god, during the race. WTF is something that left you confused. And then fave, obviously, just, your favorite moment in the race. So for Bahrain 2024, my OMG, oh my God, moment was Yuki's team radio saying he needs to speed up, man. He's not fast at all. Like I was a little bit zoned out and heard that. I actually said, oh my God, like what is happening right now? Why would he say that on the team radio? Everyone has access to these team radios. What you guys might not know is that yes, ESPN, Sky Sports, they're airing the race and they're picking little team radios to play. But if you have F1 TV, you have access to the driver's team radio the entire race weekend. That's why I love F1 TV and everyone should get it. I wish I had a discount code for you guys, but I do not. But maybe we can get that in the works. So yeah, it's not only what's being aired. You have to be very mindful of what you're saying on the radio because anyone could pop in at any point. And also the races get saved, so you can just go back and listen to them. Anyways, my WTF moment of the race was Bottas's 52-second pit stop. Like, what even happened there? The mechanics were running around. It looked like they were missing like a screw or something. I feel bad for Bottas, but yes, that happened. Hopefully they learn from their mistake and, that doesn't happen again. And then my fave moment of the race was around lap 11. Carlos overtaking Charles. I do love Carlos. Also love Charles, but I just feel like smooth operator is being taken to a whole new level. I've said this before. Carlos will be a gentleman. We do know that of Carlos. But, he doesn't really have to now follow team orders as much. He's not going to be there next year. Like he can be a little bit more aggressive with his strategies, his decisions. Like I bet if he got team orders on the radio, he could push back a little bit respectfully. I feel like Carlos is always very respectful. But yeah, that was beautiful. Charles and Carlos were just in tandem, going like racing wheel to wheel, the action we want, the action that we deserve. So thank you, Ferrari, for delivering. And then I will throw out my favorite team radio as well. And it was "My Seat is Broken" from Sir Lewis Hamilton. I just thought it was funny. Like, what do you mean your seat is broken? And like, that's a little bit dangerous. I was wondering if they were going to have him DNF because my seat is broken. Like, what does that mean? Is the seat loose? Like, if he hits somebody or he gets hit, like, what if he flies out of the car? So my mind was on safety there. And then I believe it was in quali. I will pull one of Lando's team radio, and he said something like, "Imagine what it could have been." And I just keep hearing Lando say, "Coulda, woulda, shoulda." I think it's one of his favorite lines that he uses a lot, like, "Would have, coulda, should have done this, would have, coulda, should have done that." And I just can't wait till the day that it gets done. So hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. I just realized this pen was uncapped and I am aggressively tapping my desk. So let's put that away. Very passionate, as you can see. But yeah, I placed a couple of bets. My F1 League has no side of Max, and I think that might just be my delusion coming through because, yeah, I can't believe I didn't put Max on my F1 fantasy team, and all my bets this weekend were all going against Max. So, yeah, that was an interesting moment for my wallet. I'm just a little bit delusional. Like, I'm just pretending Max is not in the sport. And I will say something. I am a Max fan. Like, I would say Max is my top 5 favorite F1 drivers. And it's nothing against Max. Like I said, he could win every race, but we want the action. But anyways, yeah, in my mind, just pretending Max is not there because he's going to be 30 seconds ahead of the field. Okay. I took some notes during the race, and for some reason, all the notes that I took were on Ferrari. Like I wrote them out by laps, like Charles getting overtaken, Charles pit after getting taken by Carlos. So the race, most of the drivers started on soft. I think they all started on soft tires and then pitted to hard tires, and then some had another pit stop. Charles was on the radio saying that his car had an issue. And I feel like Charles is always very verbal about what's going on with his car. I mean, obviously he has to communicate with his engineers, but like whenever things aren't going his way, like there's just a reason. And I'm wondering like, what is wrong with the car setup? Like, is communication missing there? Why is the car going to the right when you try braking? So I'm wondering what's happening. And this also made me think, like, if Charles is having potentially a hard time communicating, what is going to happen to Lewis when he has to communicate with some of these mechanics in Italian? Like, I don't know. We shall see. Okay. Well, your F1 2024 Bahrain podium was Max Verstappen, Checo Perez, and Carlos. So we did have a Red Bull 1-2. Let's pull up some of these team finishers. Yeah, so Max, Checo, Carlos. We had Charles in fourth. Russell, I think George Russell had a great race. At some point, he was P2. He was doing some overtakes, really great racing from him. Lando was P6, Hamilton P7, Oscar P8, Alonso P9, and Stroll P10, completing the top 10. Alpine, oh my goodness, like what is happening there? They are definitely like the worst team this entire season. And after the race, it came out that two of their key personnel, I believe it was their aerodynamic, and I'm going to look this up, but two of their key personnel resigned after the race. Let's see. Okay, so Alpine's F1 technical director and head of aero design resigned after the first race. So there's something that they just didn't get with their car, but I don't understand why these two key personnel resigned, or, you know, maybe they didn't do their job well and somebody from Alpine told them to, you know, resign. So that was a nice way so that they wouldn't get fired. But oh my God, I feel so bad for Gasly because he went from what was AlphaTauri, now known as Visa Cash App RB, to a French team. He's French, so hopefully he was hopeful that he would feel more at home there. I mean, Alpine has been Renault, and they have been a good team in the past, like strong midfield team, but they are like looking like dead last right now. And it just seems like there's a lot with that team. Otmar used to be the team principal there, and he was let go of like midway through a race weekend in 2023. Pierre and Ocon don't really get along. That might contribute to some of their issues with the team, but I don't think that Pierre and Ocon not getting along is the reason why their car is as horrible as it is. But it definitely doesn't make things better. And I just want good things for Gasly. Do I think Gasly is going to be a world drivers champion? Not at this point, not with the dominance. Do I think that Gasly and the right car could be fighting for podiums? Yes, because he is very determined, very hungry. So I do think he could get the job done of being on a couple of podiums with the right car. Like, I bet he wishes he was in the RB. I think it's a little better than the Alpine, but hopefully they figure it out. I mean, McLaren was in a very similar position last year, and they ended up getting a bunch of podiums. So, hopefully the best happens for Alpine and they just get it together. We need more competition. Okay, what else has been happening in the world of F1? Let's look up some F1 news. I mean, we obviously know the obvious one. Lord. Okay. So for F1 news, obviously, Christian Horner is center stage with what is going on with his investigation. So, like around the end of January, this has been going on for a while. Let's see. Yeah, like right around the end of January, apparently Christian was involved in an accusation of improper behavior. We didn't know exactly what type of inappropriate behavior it was, but it was with another Red Bull employee. And Christian apparently, like, there had already been a case between Christian and said employee. And honestly, I don't really want to talk about this because I don't know what's going on, and not that many people actually know what's going on. Key F1 personnel, like team principals like Toto Wolff, have said that more transparency is required. You can't just make like this huge deal that a Formula One team principal had an investigation against him and then he was cleared, but nothing came out. Like, we don't even know exactly like 100% what the allegation was for and how he got cleared. Like, if he got cleared, shouldn't we know the details of that? Like, apparently there was no wrongdoing, so why not just share the outcome? I mean, he's working day in and day out with the people in the paddock, the people in his team. I think everybody in the sport wants to know what happened. And in a way, is it his personal life? Not really, because it happened with an employee of his company. So I think that what Toto said is completely right, to demand more accountability, more transparency. But yeah, anyways, don't want to talk so much about it, but here we are. So all this to say is that this has brought out so many different avenues for Christian. So Josh Verstappen, which is Max Verstappen's father, seems to be completely against Christian Horner and is demanding for Christian to be let go of Red Bull for his resignation. He has recently threatened that Max will be pulled from Red Bull if Christian is not pulled from Red Bull. Josh has said that Christian is going to torn the team apart. So I just don't know why Josh is so against Christian. Like, what happened there? And the thing is that, yes, Max and his dad are close, Max and Christian are also very close. And in the press conferences, Max has been asked various times if he still thinks that Christian is the right person to lead Red Bull. And he has kind of dodged the question. He hasn't sided with Christian, but he also hasn't said anything bad about it. He's answered the question by saying things like, we're all focused on the team. Of course, Christian's allegations are a little bit distracting for Christian, but not necessarily for the team. Two reporters asked them, just to go back to the question, do you think Christian is still the right person to lead Red Bull? And he has not answered the question. Apparently, the FIA president asked Max to back Christian and saying that he was still the right person for the team. But I just think that Christian's reputation has been tainted in a way. And the actual CEO of Red Bull, like Red Bull, the company, the energy drink, not CEO of Red Bull Racing, called for Christian to resign on February 2nd, or, was going apparently a press release was even drafted and ready to be published on February 2nd saying Christian Horner is no longer the team principal of Red Bull Racing or with the company. And that's when Christian got his lawyers involved. And yeah, he was cleared of any wrongdoing or improper behavior. Since then, an alleged Google Doc with all the evidence, the screenshots, the pictures was sent out to all the team principals of F1, very important FIA, F1 personnel, and all these motorsports journalists have the drive. The thing is, the drive cannot be confirmed if it is real or not. And apparently, Red Bull or Christian's people sent a statement or like a warning that if any publication published what was on the drive, there would be a lawsuit against them. But all I'm going to say is that at this point, this is a downfall of Christian Horner. Like, a lot of people are out to get him, like an employee, Max's dad, who knows how many other people, other team principals are insinuating that, they don't really want him there. Like, too much has happened. And if he really didn't do anything wrong, just, give us all the details. I think that it has stirred up too much drama. His reputation is tainted. And I will honestly be very impressed if he manages to keep his position as team principal at Red Bull. Like, it's too much. Like, I don't think this is going to die down anytime soon. And more things are just going to keep coming out. So when this all first came out, it was a Dutch news outlet that published that Christian Horner was being investigated. And there was rumors that it was Max's dad who leaked this. And they were saying that because obviously it was like Dutch. And now with everything else that has come out, like Josh Verstappen has publicly said that he does not support Christian. And it's confusing. And I think that this will actually like weigh on Max if he has to choose between apparently his boss and his dad. And just like, how do you go and say, no, I don't support Christian, right? And then Christian still ends up in his position. It has to be your team boss. So it's a tricky situation for Max to be in. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's crazy. I want to know you guys' thoughts on this. Like, what do you think is happening? Do you think Christian will keep his role? I would be surprised if Christian is still the team principal at Red Bull by the fourth race of the season. This is so crazy because when Gunther Steiner was let go, I was like, oh, let me write up my F1 2024 predictions. Let's pull them up. And one of the predictions that I put was, I think we will see another change in an F1 team principal because, yeah, Gunther got let go, which was shocking and surprising. But when we know the reason why, like when you think about the Haas team and not performing, like, yeah, that makes sense. There's a new team principal at Visa, Cash App, RB. I do like to call them VCarb. But I just thought there would be another change, like maybe at Alpine. But I did not think that there would that the team principal instead questions, and my prediction would be Christian Horner. Like, you have such a powerful and privileged job. Like, why would you do something silly to jeopardize it, right? Okay, should we look at my F1 2024 predictions? That this will be the silliest season yet. Obviously, we know that it started a while ago. Had a prediction that Carlos would go to McLaren, but Lando would go to potentially Red Bull or Ferrari. That's not going to happen right now. I said this already, but I think a race will be canceled. This is super unhinged, but Esteban to Mercedes, because Esteban has ties to Toto. I don't know if Toto has ties to Esteban. You can get this gist from a few seasons back in Drive to Survive when Esteban won a race, and he was very sad that Toto didn't call him, because I think Toto is his manager or something like that. I have to double check these facts. But yeah, there's definitely, I would say, a one-way tie there. Okay. Yeah, and that was one of my predictions, a new team principal. Yeah, so we will see how the story unfolds. Honestly, by the time that this episode is published, there could be so much more news. That's it. It is Sunday. The first race of the season was held on a Saturday. And the reason why is because the second race is Saudi Arabia, and it's happening over Ramadan, and they cannot race on Sunday. So they will be racing on Saturday, but you need to have a weekend. The regulations say you need to have a weekend between Grand Prix. So they also pushed back the first race to accommodate for that rule. And honestly, I was down for Saturday race day. Like, obviously we are all used to and know the Sunday race, but I some reason it played into not having the Sunday scaries, because now I had my whole entire Sunday to do things like record this podcast and meal prep. But I really liked the race on Saturday. It just felt like, Saturday is more of a fun day for me. It's not really Sunday fun day. Like Saturday, you can go out and have fun and like get all excited, and you still have an extra day to the weekend. So I really like that. Let's see how it impacts viewership. Quali on Friday. That was also fine. I enjoyed that. What else? What else is happening? Let's see my notes. Okay, let's jump into Guess the Grid. If you don't know, Guess the Grid is a little segment. It's honestly synonymous to silly season. I just like to call it Guess the Grid, because you and I, all of us, we are guessing the grid for the next season. So for 2025. And right now, big key players for Guess the Grid are Yuki, Daniel, and Checo. So they are all fighting for that Red Bull seat. Doesn't look like all three of them will have a seat in 2025. They want the fastest driver in Red Bull to race alongside Max. I think that's a very special role that not everybody can do. I feel like some people have been offered the Red Bull seat and they've denied it because they don't want to be Max's teammate. That is a team that is going to prioritize Max as their number one driver, and other teams really don't push that much into having a first and second driver. Like, they're pretty equal, like let them race. But like Ferrari, up to this point, I would say that Charles, in a way, was supposed to be their number one driver. I feel like they've done a better job at letting them race, just letting them race between Carlos and Charles. Whoever does their best that race. But at Red Bull, that Max is the golden boy. I don't think Yuki will be able to handle that very well. Daniel has done it in the past, and honestly, it didn't seem like he could handle it. That's why he left. I think he realizes that it is what it is now, and he's probably never going to be World Drivers Champion, but he can get a couple of wins and podiums under his belt before he leaves. And Checo has done a phenomenal job at being Max's teammate. Of course, there's that little incident in Monaco, but other than that, Checo is a legend. He, helped him on the last race to win his championship in 2021. Oh my God. I'm feeling a little old. Okay, we'll see. Well, and we know that Liam Lawson is also a key player for likely the V-Carb RBC, but who knows how the tables turn. And there's a lot of rumors that Mercedes might sign Kimi Antonelli to be the second driver or take the second seat at Mercedes alongside George. So Red Bull might follow suit and sign someone young like Liam Lawson to take that seat alongside Max. So we will see. Do I think that Checo will downgrade to the RBC? No, I think he might just, leave the Red Bull family and go somewhere else. But also, let's go back to Josh threatening to pull Max from Red Bull. Where is he going to go? Is he going to go to Mercedes? Like, I don't think Mercedes would want him, but there's a seat there. Can't go to Ferrari. Can't go to McLaren. Can he go to Aston Martin? Maybe. But honestly, Max is Red Bull until 2028. Like, don't threaten that you're going to pull Max. Like, they're actually, if you think about it, Max is somebody who really wouldn't have a seat to go to. At Mercedes, like, no, they're just, no. But crazy things happen in F1 all the time, which is why we love it. Yeah, we have so much tea already this season. Addendum. After I was finished recording the podcast, open my phone and see this after I literally just said I could never picture Max. This would never happen. But it does make sense. In F1, we have to be open-minded. I'm going to take back a couple of the things that I said, but we are going back to, would Max Verstappen race at Mercedes? I cannot see it. I mean, absolutely not. I mean, I don't think that Mercedes really had an issue with Max Verstappen. Maybe it was more Lewis Hamilton. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton and Max have a rivalry there, and Lewis was Mercedes, but Lewis is not Mercedes anymore. So does Mercedes have a problem with Max? We don't know, but apparently the whispers of the paddock is that after Josh Verstappen made all the comments that he would pull Max from Red Bull if Christian Horner stayed the team principal, Josh was seen talking to Toto Wolff, the team principal of Mercedes, apparently, allegedly, supposedly, who knows, asking if Max could join Mercedes in 2025. And Toto responded, anything is possible. Oh my God. Like, my brain needs to start being able to recognize F1 drivers in other colors, because I just, I have them attached. So like Max in Red Bull blue, but Max in Mercedes black. Oh my goodness. He will be the bad boy that he was painted out to be like. Oh my God. All of a sudden, I am so here for it. Oh my God. This is amazing, actually. Yes, I am so here for this, because if Max goes to Mercedes, Daniel Ricciardo can go to RB, and the full circle is completed. Checo can stay there. He's done a great job. Why not? Maybe Yuki stays at RB and Liam comes in. This is all making, the grid is starting to fall into place. Guess the grid? Yes. Okay, a little wag watch where we talk about the wags. Bahrain was great for the wags. So many of the wags were there. Wags are wives and girlfriends of athletes, in this case, F1 drivers. I will say the Haas babies took the center stage this weekend. They were so cute. Both Nico Hulkenberg and Kevin Magnussen have adorable little blonde babes, and they were seen scanning passes to get into the paddock, running around. They looked like they were playing with each other. So super cute there. Not much to say about the wags. Carmen was slaying as usual with her outfits. I Love how she dresses. Like, I wish she couldn't style me. Rebecca was there. Rebecca is Carlos's girlfriend. I think Alex, which is Charles's girlfriend, was actually not there. Kelly, who is Max Verstappen's girlfriend, was not there. She was in Paris Fashion Week, but I think she had been there previously because there was a really cute picture of Lando, Max, Daniel, and Alonso after paddle, and you see Penelope, which is Kelly's daughter, running up to Max. And then Kelly posted that she went to pick up Penelope and drop her off before she had to go work, which work is Paris Fashion Week. So it looks like she was there before, but not during the actual Grand Prix. So yeah, that is all. I do want to make a WAG 101 episode where we just go through all the WAGs, who they are, what they do. I love the WAGs. They all are very interesting, have their own things going on. So it'll be fun to do a deep dive on all of them. I think that is honestly all for today's episode. I'm going to, oh no, Fantasy F1. Pitwall Girls created a Fantasy F1 league, and I'm a little bit ashamed to say this, but my own team in my own fantasy league is currently in P44. So maybe that's a good thing because it's Ulysses' number, and you know, he can be the GOAT. He's the GOAT. But it is not too late to create a team and join the Pitwall Girls League. So you should do that and join. You join via F1. You need to create a Formula One account, and then you go to fantasy.f1tv. I did a whole Instagram and TikTok video on this. So just go to @pitwalkgirls on Instagram and look at the highlights, and you will see how to join. You need a code to join the league. So join that. I thought the league got locked, but I'm new to fantasy, so I don't think it's locked. I think you can still join. Maybe I have to lock it. And if that's the case, I will lock it after race 4 because I just like the number 4. And I think it's a good point. We'll still have 20 other races to go through. But yeah, everybody listening to this should join in on the fun. And then another thing is I'm really trying to build out the Pitwall Girls community. So many of you DM me and I love chatting with you all, but I want you girls and guys and everybody to chat with each other. So the best way to do that is to join the Discord server. So Discord is a platform. It's an app you can have on your phone, and it's just a bunch of channels where you can talk about things like Drive to Survive. You could talk to other people about meeting up for certain races. We can have a channel for the WAGs. The Discord is set up and it is being updated. So I encourage you to join. All these details will be in the show notes for you to have those links easily accessible. If you are listening on Apple or Spotify, please leave a rating. If you are watching on YouTube, do all the YouTube things. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, follow along on Instagram @pitwalkgirls, on TikTok. We have so much fun on there. And that is all. I will see you for the next race recap after Saudi Arabia. Remember, it is on Saturday. Thanks for listening. Bye.